Today, I want to talk to you about finding the joy. It may sound like a strange or unexpected topic for a video on caregiving, but I think it's one of the most important topics when we're looking at the challenges and the rewards of caregiving. Often we know that caregiving can be tiring, sad, overwhelming, never ending. It can feel like all of those things. But I think if we can find our way into being fully present with what is happening right in that very moment that we're with someone that we're caring for, and if we can set aside the what ifs and the oh no's and the looking at the long picture, and we just stay in that very moment, I think that we are able to find real moments of joy, and not just at the expense of the person we're caregiving. I'm not talking about, they fall down and we laugh. It's not like that. I think that there can be real moments of silliness, playfulness, and even joy. And I believe that those moments can carry us through the many difficult times that we also have. And they'll certainly carry us forward when we are no longer caregivers. Um, I, I found that when I was caring for my father, and I want to share some of that experience with you today. I definitely found that the time spent with my father, especially in the last sort of year, was quite difficult. I was having emotions around, sadness and some dread around losing my father, even though he was 94. I used to say to people, well, yes, it's a good long age, but I've had that much longer to get used to having him in my life. And I suspect you feel that way too about the person that you're caring for, even as you maybe can sometimes imagine or dream of a time when you're not doing this. What I found in some of the moments when I was able to let go of all the yoke of responsibility and just enjoy myself, I was able to actually take pleasure in the things that we were doing, and especially to find what I would call joy. It's not maybe the kind of get up and dance and open a lot of presents or new baby in your family kind of joy, but it is a form of joy, and it can carry you through the hard moments, and it can also carry you through after you're no longer a caregiver. And these are the kind of memories that we want to hold on to. And so that's what I'm urging you to look for, pay attention to in your daily life. There's a particular experience that I had with my dad, and I want to, it's in my book, and I want to read a little bit of that for you today to share the experience of finding the joy. One of the things that I used to do when I was caring for my dad, his eyesight wasn't so great, and so he would often not see what I was doing, and he also spoke very slowly. And sometimes I would write down things that he said. Sometimes they were surprising or strange, um, but mostly I actually found some of the things he said profound, and I wanted to be able to capture them. I didn't at that point have the idea that I was going to write a book, not at all. But I knew that I wanted to keep that memory and to think about what was happening when he said those things. So that's part of how I was able to capture some of these moments. But this one is one that's just so firmly emblazoned in my mind. Usually I'd say, "Is there anything you want me to do, Dad?" And usually that meant going to the mall across the street on a shopping trip for him. And sometimes he'd made a list for me, or he would tell me orally and I would write it down. This time he said, "I don't think so." And then he paused and he said, "I do have a request. of you that I've been too embarrassed to ask. Well, I was a little bit nervous about what that might mean. So, I really didn't know. I said, "Oh, what is it?" And he said, "I'd like you to cut my toenails. I'm not able to bend over and reach them anymore, and they're getting kind of ridiculously and uncomfortably too long." So I said, "Oh, okay. Where would you like me to, where would you like me to cut them? Where should we do that?" And he said, "In the bathroom." In the middle of the night, he said, when I wasn't sleeping, I amused myself by deciding that I would soak my feet while sitting on the bath mat. And he went into the bathroom and he prepared himself. And when he was ready, he called my name and I joined him. I don't think I had ever been in the bathroom at the same time as my father, certainly not since I was about 5 or 6 years old. When I walked in, he was sitting on the edge of the tub and he had his feet resting on a large brown towel. His gray cotton pant legs were rolled up above his knees to reveal dozens of purple and blue bruises on intensely veined, thin, white legs. "Do you need anything else, Dad?" He said, "Bring me a bowl of water. You can use the dishpan under the sink. It's not getting much use these days." I returned with the square brown dishpan, and I proceeded to fill it with warm, soapy water. I set it down on the bath mat in front of him. "Here you go, Dad, just like Madge, the Palmolive lady on TV. You're soaking in it," Madge used to say to her customers at the upscale salon. And they usually responded in horror when they realized they were soaking their fingers in dish detergent. "How would you like me to do this, Dad?" I asked when he'd finished soaking his feet. "However you like," he said. "The nail clippers are there on the sink." Well, I picked up the set of nail clippers. It was really big, and I inspected his feet. "Where do you want me to start?" "Your choice," he said. Some choice, I thought. The big toes were huge and terrifying. It felt like the nails were about an inch thick and hard and yellow, and despite his efforts at soaking. I wondered how long it had been since he'd had his nails cut. I didn't ask. I chose the baby one. I began by facing him, if you can imagine, but soon I discovered the angle was too awkward. I moved my body between his legs, resting one arm on his leg. It felt strangely intimate. I proceeded toe by toe, cutting and shaping, trying my very best not to cut him. Left foot and then right, one at a time. "Well, Dad," I said, moving towards the door to inspect my handiwork, "I think we're done. How do you like them?" "Perfect," he said. And then, not missing a beat, he added, "Do you paint toenails as well?" Well, I can imagine what you might be thinking. You might want to say to me, "Well, that's easy for you to say, but my husband has dementia and he can't carry on conversations like that and he can't crack jokes." And I understand that in some cases that is true, but I think there are still things that you can do together that can provide joy and laughter and fun. And it's a matter of getting into this very time, this very moment that you're there with them. I was on a panel with my book, and a woman was on that panel who had written a book about caring for her mother who had Alzheimer's. And she said she used to get frustrated a lot because her mother couldn't do things and would start to do things with her and try, but then it would get all messed up. And she said one day she just thought, "Well, let's play cards. Let's play fish." And so they started to play fish, and her mother started making mistakes, and then she started making mistakes, and then they just let go of all the rules, and they just started laughing and having a good time. Now, she said it wasn't playing cards the way, I'm used to playing cards, But why do I need to take the game seriously if, in fact, we can have some fun with it? I think there are lots of other things. When I look outside, I think about building snowmen or making snow angels, the kind of things that I could do with my grandchildren normally, but I can't see them up close and personal. So I'm sometimes tempted, and I have lain in the snow and made a snow angel. There's no rule about whether or not we're allowed to do that as people of a certain age. So you might be able to do that with the person you're caring for. Just get silly. Let go of sort of ideas of what people who are 70 years old or 75 years old can do or should do, and just play. Just make some snowballs, even, and have some fun with it. There are other things, many other things that you can do. When I was caring for my sister, I think about the times that we spent watching old movies and bad daytime television. We didn't have much option. We couldn't go to the video store. She couldn't go out. But we would watch these movies, and if we really hated it, we'd stop watching it in the middle. I think there are probably movies that you and the person you're caring for can enjoy. I think about something like that old movie, The Way We Were, and maybe you watched that with your husband or your wife long ago when it came out, and you watch it and you sing along with Barbara Streisand, and at least you are able to remember the happy times that you were able to have together. Um, and and so you watch it and you enjoy it together. If you're able to get out for a walk together, that doesn't need a destination, maybe around the block. I'm sure you're doing some of these things, but I just want to say taking the attitude of a bit silly is okay, and in fact can help you. I know that when I had grandchildren, that was one of my biggest thrills. Was I got in touch with that side of myself, that silly side that I'd often had to let go of in my working life as a professor. But now I had a little 2-year-old or 3-year-old, and I was able to just get on the floor and play games and be silly. When my granddaughter reached the age of about 6, she said to me one day, "Don't be silly, Granny." And I said to her, I can't be anything else now. I just really love to be silly. So I think, that's about letting go of what people might think of you and just enjoying and engaging in the moment as you are there. I'm sure that there are other things that you can do. Reading a book, reading a silly book, reading a kid's book. A friend of mine whose husband has dementia, and she eventually decided that she had to move him into the dementia ward of a senior's residence because she has serious health issues of her own. And she was concerned about him, but until the lockdown, she was able to visit him regularly. And one day we were supposed to have a phone call at 5, and she texted me just before to say, "I can't make it today. Jim and I are sitting here on the love seat holding hands. We're listening to Handel's Messiah and we're eating chocolate." And she said, "We're both just smiling and having such a glorious time." Now, he, for starters, loves music and can take great joy in music. And who doesn't love chocolate? And so they were able to commune in that way and enjoy that time, that precious moment. And she was enjoying it for everything it was worth, and so was he. I'm going to talk in the next video about music, and especially music and people who have Alzheimer's. But I can say that as a warning, I have found that music has really helped me through the pandemic because I love music and I love singing. So I've been taking ukulele lessons during the pandemic, and it's bringing me a great deal of joy and incentive to practice. We do it over Zoom, and then I have to practice, so I sing when I'm practicing as well. I'm sure that you're going to have a million things, or at least half a dozen, that you can think of like this, that you can do when you allow yourself to just be off duty for a minute or two, or 5 or 10, and be with the person that you love. So I thank you for joining today, and I'll see you soon. Bye.